When I was growing up, we would just go to a bookstore and also look at the art books or the photo books that the library doesn't carry. But for me, it was more like just a printed image on a page. And that sort of exists when I was growing up. It was just getting stuff in the mail, like calendars that belong to real estate companies or whatever. and looking at those pictures, usually of nature, and wanting to use that as a way to just to like escape the boredom of working in my parents' TV repair shop. You know, just sort of like every day, just looking forward to these printed stuff that comes through the mail in the paper form. And then, you know, definitely the intimacy of flipping and things like that, the touch, the tactile kind of part that comes to play. And of course, you know, now as an artist and a photographer, of course, the photo book scene, and it's like, you know, a dream come true for any photographer to have a book. And you know, it wasn't something I planned for in a way, but we planned, we made it happen, and it came, and here's the baby, you know?
Just to add a little to that, I love the way you talk about, in Bihn's talk, he talks about his work, and this sort of molecular memory of plants. I was at a dinner that a benefactor of Radius gave several years ago, and I was seated next to a man who had made a lot of money in Silicon Valley, kind of coincidentally. And he sat down next to me and he said, "So you're that book guy, you do that Radius thing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "So how does it feel to pedal in dead trees?"
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
Which was, you know, kind of an aggressive comment, I guess. And right now, I kind of wish he was here, because I would like to say that the molecular memory and history of those objects and those trees are resonant in all of the things that you make, that we make, that gives them strength and gives them power.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Rachel has a project about NFTs and stuff like that. And we could talk more about that.
Not tonight.
But in the same line, you know, I mean, just the energy that goes into that is not great. Digital materials too. It's not always positive. But we should move on.
It's reminding me so much, though, of, you know, the experience, Rachel, that you were describing of your grandmother shutting everyone out and having this immersive experience with a book, and then also the ubiquitous real estate calendars and the printed matter. I remember, too, just in terms of cultural exchange and the way that canons are shared and information is distributed. I remember finding my mother's library, because she immigrated from South Korea to New York, and she had a really hard time with English. And I think it was a copy of Catcher in the Rye, or a book that she was reading for school. And I opened it, and every single word was translated into Korean. And so you just saw, like, you know, you saw the Korean characters, and I just felt how difficult it was for her to get through that high school English class. And then she later told me about going to the Korean language section of the New York Public Library and crying and just, you know, sitting with books that she could read easily. And so I think the tactility, the materiality is hugely important. Peddler of dead trees. But thank you so much. So I recently read an interview with the Dutch graphic designer and bookmaker Irma Boom, in which she says, quote, "It's impossible to represent the work of a photographer or an artist in a book, but you can create something new. Basically, it's a new work based on their art." So she and the interviewer go on to discuss bookmaking as an act of translation or conversion. And so to those of us not intimately involved in making a book, I think there's a sense that a book is just a thing that appears sometimes. As all of you know on this panel very intimately, this is absolutely not the case, right? There are countless decisions, both conceptual and technical, that go into the making of a book. So in thinking about the enigma of belonging in particular, I'd love to hear more about the process of creating a material book, a book that deals with works of art that are particularly, I'd say, obstinately material themselves, whether they're chlorophyll prints or daguerreotypes. And I think we'd all love to just hear a little bit about the backstory of how the certain decisions that you made kind of came about. And for those of you who haven't seen the book yet, it is a very unique object in and of itself.
Well, I